hero seems...
Do not repeat what you said last night.
And virgins.
Better.
And welcome back to Crowns. Magical. Very sexy. And seductive. Magic Internet Money Cave!
The magic internet money cave is back, baby. Welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice Wednesday. Happy Wednesday in your life right now. And things are slow as absolute fuck, as you can see. I mean, basically, Bitcoin's been in the same goddamn range for the past couple weeks here. And realistically, these times really do feel like the end of 2018 in that sort of October-November segment, right before the big old dumpola, and then also the beginning of 2019 in about March, when Bitcoin was just getting ready to have a major breakout to the upside. So we are very likely looking at a humongous piece of price action coming up. Obviously, we've done several analyses on this, with the volatility versus momentum chart, which does suggest that a 45% move from this current level of about $40,000 is very, 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 very likely in the next about 40 to 50 days to come. And that's essentially going to be either about $55,000 to the upside or about $23,000 to the downside. But the waiting game in between here is just oh so fucking patience testing right now. Even I, after dealing with all these different mark cycles, of which I'm sure many other people here as well. In fact, I know many of the people here as well have dealt with the exact same thing. Are starting to get a bit impatient just looking at the goddamn price and be like, yep, same thing, same goddamn thing as what I saw yesterday. Anyways, I did want to bring out a couple of different angles on today's video to present a few different pieces of information to get a bit of a better bias on current price action. But other than that, a lot of the same here. Anyways, I see that we got we actually have a decent amount of people in here for especially a rather slow day. What's up, Mr. Filson? I see you over there, man. African Crypto Warlord. Good morning to you, brother. Good fucking morning to you. Nikki Page, good morning. And Nimbo, we got a lot of moderators in the house right now. I see you, Crypto Yellow Vest. What's up, Monami? And Jesus Christ, man. This is good. And even 163 likes in this video. We're still trending down, but you know what, man? As long as we don't outpace the market, that's okay. That's okay with me, man. Anyways, yeah, so I think for today, hello from Helsinki, Finland. Hey, you live in Helsinki, Finland, Kendra? That's cool. Hey, all right. Neighbors, I guess. No, or are you saying hello to Helsinki, Finland? I don't know. No, we are the only people that live in Helsinki, Finland. Believe me, no one else lives here. There's literally just us and a few pair of like reindeers, I think, and maybe some dogs in the Great North as well. Aloha from Hawaii. Nice one, man. It must be actually must be quite early in the evening for you over there. You guys are like half a day behind us, actually. Anyways, we're gonna have our own daylight saving time soon enough, so we'll be on the same sort of schedule as what you probably saw I guess like a week ago. When did the US get daylight saving time? Like last Sunday or the Sunday before that? Whatever it was, we'll be back on that schedule before then, because we're gonna have our own daylight savings on this Sunday. So all good right there, man. What's up, Rishab? What's up, the builder? What's up, Fernando? Crypto Caption? How the hell do you say that, man? Google Trends does not show any interest in crypto. That should be a cool thing to check out today. Oh, Mr. Faraz. What's up, Mr. Faraz? We got our salmon chef back in the house. He's just found out the art of the air fryer, and it is quite literally one of the best things of all time, to be quite honest with you. It's amazing, man. It's fucking amazing. Actually, do you want to bring up this Google Trends over here? So just uno momento as I do prepare this. I don't want to make any of my very nasty search history available to anyone out there for just for lack of embarrassment. Anyways, what was I going to check out? Bitcoin, maybe crypto as well would be a good search term to be checking out. Let's see. Let's go to the past. I'm going to go to the past 5 years. I'm going to put this in the regular pane here as well. Just curious where we're actually at for this. Yeah, man, it's actually fallen off the face of the earth right here. So it is technically speaking. Oh, sorry, this is in Finland. Maybe let's go to the world. People in Finland, I don't think, are very much aware of Bitcoin or crypto, anyways. But pretty damn similar to begin with, actually. Kind of surprised by that. I guess we're no different than anyone else. We're all humans at the end of the day, anyways. But you can see here. Okay, this is for the past 5 years. So when is this? 2020 December. Okay, we're actually trending back down towards basically what we saw for about 2-3 years during that 2018 to 2020-ish breakout. Yeah, about 2 years, I suppose there. Which is very, very interesting. How long can we stay down at these levels? Well, just like before, we can stay down there for years. You know, we can stay down there for years. I imagine that interest in this asset as a general class, or you know, we can also compare this with crypto as well. But I'm gonna guess that interest in this asset is just completely gone at this point. And probably not going to be coming back until, you know, at minimum when Bitcoin, if and when Bitcoin makes a new all-time high. And even then, it's like, it wasn't last year. Remember in, I think it was 2020. Yeah, it was 2020 when Bitcoin broke the par all-time high at $20,000. It wasn't at that point when a lot of other people got interested in cryptocurrencies again, or Bitcoin for that matter. It was when Bitcoin went to 30,000 when people really started to get like hyped up, and that really started to bring about a lot of the exuberant irrationality that even propelled another 2x above there, obviously to 65 and then 69,000 bucks, respectively, all-time highs. So in this case, yeah, it's going to take a long time. I think that the average person is probably not interested in this market and has been hurt. We've hurt them too much. They've probably been out mostly since the summer anyways, and the ones who weren't, well, they just got fucking nuked again in December now, didn't they? So ultimately, I do think that there's going to be more of a waiting game for any sort of like major parabolic run or anything like that. I do want to always kind of reference or put the reference in hopefully something that's more, you know, relatable and more reasonable, because, you know, you always see these like titles around like this new thing is going to change the game. It's like, no, probably not anytime soon, at least. But until then, you know, we have to actually have to have some trading skills in order to make some money, huh? Crazy shit, man. You actually have to have some fucking skills, which is good, Anyways, I'm just looking at a few things over here. I want to make sure that I have my charts ready to make this go as smoothly as possible. I actually want to have a couple of these up because I want to start off with US Tether right here first. Tether dominance going to play a pivotal role in this one, as will Dixie and as will traditional markets. So we'll swing back around here, and I think that, yeah, that's where I want to start off today. Do we want to start off by comparing it to Bitcoin just to kind of show the relevancy of it? Why not, man? Maybe there's some new people to this perhaps, and we'll do the same thing over here. Put this on a nice little line chart, get rid of these, and just get rid of everything else because we don't really necessarily need it right now, and put this on goddamn log scale, please. There we go. I'm going to take a sip of this water, and then we'll get right into the content of the day. Tom Struck says, enjoy my magic internet money milestone chat. Hey, nice, man. You have a you have a 4-month milestone. Fucking nice, man. Fucking nice. I love it, man. Absolutely love it. Good morning, fam. Good morning, fam. Master Air Fryer Chef is in the house. That's right. Master Chef and Master Chief. The same goddamn person, man. I've actually made it, as of today, 1 week without caffeine. It's definitely starting to feel normal now, but I'm curious if the videos come across a bit different when I'm not caffeinated. Probably yes. I think a little bit less frantic, perhaps, would be the answer for that. Anyways, here we go for Bitcoin, starting off with a bit of a different look on this one because, you know, realistically, in the short-term time frames, the price action has been more or less the same. I don't really have too much to add there, although we will certainly touch on that a little bit later. But I want to start off with something that I think can add a bit of an enhancer on this bias, which is simply looking at Tether dominance, represented by the blue line chart right here, a cyan line chart right here. Essentially, what you need to know about this, or the relevancy of it, is that it does play opposite of essentially Bitcoin's price action. Now, this was not true for one segment in the history of both these histories. That was from about March 2020, the RUNE dump, to that first retest of Bitcoin's par all-time high at $20,000 in December of 2020. Other than that, and that was a different, financial environment, obviously. Other than that, though, they have been very consistently on the macro schedule, opposite of each other. So the reason why I'm calling this out right now is because I think that there's a bit of an easier call to be had on Tether dominance rather than Bitcoin right now, although they should naturally kind of, align with each other in a inverse way, right? So if we go over here into the Tether dominance chart only, and we put back on some hollow dildos over here, put on some moving averages perhaps as well, and then also put on my drawing tools and perhaps a bit of these good old indicators right here, what we can see is one major macro consolidation, obviously. And this consolidation has just tested the top side of that macro ceiling. for the third time in the past couple of years here, actually going back to August 2020, by the way. So I am looking at this as a rejection coming in from these levels. We do see a drive of bearish divergence forming on the weekly RSI, which is, rather high term time frame for this. So likely does hold a fair bit of weight. We even see the weekly jewel starting to turn down here as well. And this is all within the context of declining volatility. In fact, getting to similar levels that we saw in November 2021 before that last, before the last major breakdown actually, and May 2021 as well, which was also before the last major breakdown. Now, of course, volatility is direction neutral, so this is not always going to have this is not always going to be major breakdowns for Bitcoin. For example, right here, November 2020, the opposite effect, right? It just speaks towards the severity of the move very likely incoming. So we're very likely looking at, a major shift in momentum, let's say. So, what could I also combine with this in order to get a bit more of a bias on the direction of which is likely to break, not just because, it's testing into the top side of a multi-year resistance, but we do see that all of the low volatility periods where the RSI has been in the bullish control zone, and especially this one right here, which is putting in some bearish divergence, have resulted in downside moves. So I can just mark a few off right here to make that visually apparent, hopefully, at least. We have this one right here, starting off from that high, getting rejected from the bullish control zone, boom, down. Obviously, what's it called? I guess, yeah, it's, more around there. And then let's see, we do have a very small iteration right here from, June, July of 2020, obviously leading into this region right here. Again, a very small short-term downside angle. Same thing over here in August 2021 off of the summer bear trap, of course. Again, these ones were a lot more minuscule than perhaps what we're looking at over here. But do keep in mind that on the macro schedule, we do see that it is, within the context of putting in some higher lows, and that would be bullish long term. So there is still a long term, threat to the downside, a major long term threat to the downside for Bitcoin. But in the short term, relative to a weekly, of course, so that's not like today, for example, but on the weekly schedule, for like the next few weeks, I do think that there's more likely to play out some downside than not. We spoke about this, I believe, on Monday, perhaps, or maybe it was last week on Friday, but ultimately I'm just kind of reiterating these thoughts with a little bit more detail. And we can also still look at an invalidation for these regions. I think before I said it was 469, I'd say the same thing today as well. Until that happens, I think that all daily bounces are just another lower high, very likely to lead lower. Here's the thing though, and I would keep a keen eye on this region right here, 360, anywhere between about 360 and 380 or so. I actually need to make my blue box a little bit bigger in this case, right there is perfect. This is where I would be expecting a higher low if this one is going to end up being long-term macro bullish, meaning that if you start to see major bounces right here, and then it bounces back above, let's say about 4% or so, that would be phenomenally fucking bearish for Bitcoin. Very, 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 very likely. Until then, I'm looking over the next few weeks, maybe another short-term bounce around this region, but ultimately very likely coming down into this region right here, which is likely going to coincide with some short-term Bitcoin upside alongside that downside move. And then the question is, does that put in a higher low or not? If it does, well, kiss this market goodbye for a while. If it doesn't, then hey, all good in the hood, and you're probably going to see that major rally up. But until then, it's kind of just still splitting hairs here. We can also go look at traditional markets as well. I do think that they have some good insight into the direction of this market. Obviously, the correlation between Bitcoin and NASDAQ, for example, which has been very, 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 very well documented in the past years, which certainly lost its edge, I would say, in 2021 when traditional markets were just straight up the whole goddamn way through. And on any downside move for NASDAQ, for example, Bitcoin would just, absolutely puke. And on the upside moves, it put in like these anemic upside drives as well. In this case, this is a little bit less related. However, I do look at NASDAQ as still essentially like a major indice for Bitcoin almost, in the sense that in the same way that you look at like Bitcoin versus an altcoin, it's like when Bitcoin goes up, yeah, altcoins get to go up as well. The ones that are weaker, typically, they don't get to go up as much. The ones that are stronger, they get to go up more. Well, typically speaking, Bitcoin acts weaker to NASDAQ's upside moves. And in this case right here, the reason why I believe that it is relevant is that short term, I do expect this rally to continue actually. There very likely will be pullbacks along the way. In fact, I was going to say on the short term, probably a pullback probably a pullback sooner rather than later. But now that I look at it, I actually do think that this one does try another short-term upside move from here. Very likely somewhere, perhaps somewhere right around about just around 15,000, maybe just under 15,000 or so. And then that's kind of the next major area that I'll be keeping a keen eye on. What would be massively bearish for this, however, or I wouldn't say massively bearish, but very likely imply a pullback first before any sort of a try higher would be if this one does come back down below about 14,400. So those are kind of the areas to watch for me right now. Until then, until then, I do kind of expect a bit more of a short-term sideways and probably another try up. Doesn't really do too much for the higher-term time frames, unfortunately. But for right now, the major focus is on the weekly, and I believe that we are seeing, a bit of a pity bounce in, at least a pity bounce right here, as we do see volatility coming off of very, 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 very high extremes, and we do see that, it's bouncing after a pretty nasty downside move. This is obviously not a humongous move for like a crypto, for example, but for traditional markets, this is a humongous, absolutely groundbreaking move. It's 23%, which anything above like 20% is considered bear market territory. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the implication of that is right here. So I do look for this to bounce a little bit more. If you are going to be massively bearish on this, probably looking at something resembling a lower high between about 15,000-ish to 15,250, let's say. And obviously, if you're bullish, you're just looking for it to bulldoze through there and reclaim about 15.6 or so. Until then, it does still remain on the more bearish side long term. More than likely, though, continues on with the bounce short term here, especially into the end of the month, which is also going to be the end of the quarterly. And the reason why it's important that it's the end of the quarterly is that a lot of big money managers, they get new money comes into the market at the beginning of a new quarter. That's just the way that they kind of operate, the way that their sort of systems are set up, and so you do kind of typically look for things to start off with a bit of a green, or in this case, a cyan day, into a time like that, kind of front running those players. So I would keep an eye on that. Again, just speaking off the cuff here, like ever so slightly juicing the probabilities in that favor. And then we can get to Bitcoin, which we haven't even touched in at all today. So let's do that right now. Let's go over here, go back to the chart that we were working off of for the past week or so. Or sorry, for the past like month or so, realistically, going back to like early March here. Anyways, in this case, I still look at this as an overall uptrend. The one thing that I could change right here, however, is something that we've been changing steadily as Bitcoin proves itself on these upside moves. And I could now move up the point of failure, aka the validation for downside, not from 40,500 any longer, but I could move it up about another $1,000 to about 40,100 on a 4-hour closure, or 40,700 on an hourly closure. If one of those two things happens, very likely this does come down further, first to about 40,000 even, very likely a short-term bounce then, and then, very, very likely somewhere back down around 39, which very likely has another short-term bounce. And personally speaking, I do think that things would initiate a general run over time, not on the same day, but over the next, like the following week or two, very likely back down to the 37,000 to 37,500-ish region right here. That's essentially what I'd be looking for. And that would, while that technically does not constitute a break, very, 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 very likely to break down from there and initiate that 45% move to the downside. So I've just referenced a 45% move. Do I need to explain this again? Sure, why not? Well, might as well over here. I can do this quickly enough now. But basically, I do believe that there is a big 45% move in the midst here. Not today, not tomorrow. Probably starts around end of this month, perhaps the last week of this month, which we're rapidly approaching here, to be fair. But again, the totality of this move is unlikely to hit until, at least later point in whatever the month is after March, which is April. Yeah. Anyways, the reason why I say this is because we are hitting extremes here to the downside, that is, on 5-day BBWP. We can measure this out many years in the past, but I'll just look at these last couple of years right here, of which we do see the past 4 iterations of this. And by the way, we're working on number 5 right now, have produced a very, very similar response on price action, thus producing about, on average, about 45% gain to the upside or the downside from that price point. And it typically happens over the course of about 40 to 50 days or so, let's say, on average, obviously. And so if we were to add that to the upside, that would be printing Bitcoin somewhere around about $56,000. If we added that to the downside, or subtracted that to the downside, that'd be more around about $24,000 from current price action. So do keep that in mind. And realistically, while I feel very, very confident that we're going to get a move like that probably around the end of April or so, let's say, The question is, what actually really defines a trigger for that move? It's the same thing as before, obviously. Nothing's changed there. I don't want to bore you with the details of this, but basically, I would confirm that move above $45,000 or $44,500 on a daily closure or a higher term time frame closure. That does have a technical target based off of this as an ascending triangle all the way up to $56,000 to $55,000, directly in line with that 45% projection or so. Also in line with the 3.272 Fibonacci extension. And then of course we got the weekly over here, of which that would naturally confirm another drive of hidden bullish divergence along the way, probably above about $43,000. I think it does start to show that as potential yet again, and that has a natural short-term target, short-term relative to a weekly, obviously, at around 51-ish thousand, and a secondary target towards about 57 or so thousand. So that would also kind of play within the context of that. Obviously, to the downside, a lot more simplistic in this sense, but simplistic typically equals quite good in my experience. But we do see that the monthly MACD chart, I keep on going back to this one. It's simple as fuck, but it gets a job done. And we've seen anytime that the monthly MACD crossed the downside plus price action losing the white 20 simple has produced a move to the green 55 exponential moving average on this chart each and every time. It's happened 3 times in the history of Bitcoin. It's not very many iterations, but if those conditions are met, that would be at least my sort of that would be my proclivity towards looking for a move like that. And basically that would be, Elsa's just laughing in the background. I've had enough of it. Anyways, what would trigger this move right here? Well, we already have the monthly MACD crossing the downside, obviously. The next key critical ingredient of this would be closing below the white 20 simple on the monthly, which is about $38,500. And I do think that, yes, if Bitcoin starts to close below there, even on like a weekly, for example, very, 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 very likely to see that move happen in the following, month or two, let's say. Until then, we can use a few things as a proxy to kind of get a bias on direction, obviously. I've been promoting this chart right here, the 5-day stochastic momentum oscillator, of which, this would suggest upside from here. Obviously, each and every time that we've seen the 5-day momentum oscillator, the 5-day stochastic momentum oscillator be in position alongside that 5-day BBWP, it has led towards basically continuation in that direction towards that final 45% destination. But for right now, obviously it's to the upside. Obviously it's gotten out of the bearish control zone. In order to maintain this condition, Bitcoin must remain on a closing basis above 39,330 or so. And what also should be known is that the 5-day BBWP, yesterday we did see that it was getting an ever so slight positive tick right here. Obviously right now, because things have been, more or less volatile in the last 24 hours, it's actually flattened out. So we actually don't have that positive curvature just yet. That will only be fully confirmed upon closure. So technically speaking, if we do see this get a positive slope, like a nice positive slope, especially above the moving average on it, and the moving average getting a positive slope, that would be the perfect signal in this case. And that alongside the 5-day stochastic would, I think, be a front runnable signal, just personally speaking. Obviously, you are free to make your own decisions for yourself, but just based off the history of that, I do think that would be front runnable, and that would very likely imply that the upside does get confirmed. Problem is, again, at the end of the day, price action is king and price action matters most. And price action says, above, until Bitcoin's back above about $44,500, $45,000, still just, it's nice to have in the background, but it's not quite there just yet. Anyways, again, basically the crux of the message today is that below 41,000 bad, very likely going to see back down towards 38, 39. Again, with bounce along the way. Until then, I do still think that the boo laws have the probabilities in their favor. I think that the general scheme kind of favors them for the time being, but we haven't really seen anything massively new other than that. I suppose we can go check out stochastic momentum over here from the short-term time frame perspective and see where these pivots are at, and maybe come up with a short-term bias. Although I'm kind of the same opinion yesterday. I look for a trend continuation here to the upside until proven otherwise, which again, proven otherwise is at least a 4-hour closure below $41,000. In this case, we see 6-hour stochastic momentum will turn down with any sort of a closure below 42,400. Bitcoin's obviously about $300 below that, with 5.5 hours left to go, basically. So it's it's not super relevant for the short term just yet, but definitely something to be keeping aware of. The 4 hours also freshly crossing down, will be remaining with downside momentum as long as Bitcoin's closing below 42.8. Obviously we are, you know, $700 below, yeah, about $700 below there right now. 3 hour is also going to be showing what is going to be showing a lotus gate and also heading down below about 42.7. So that number starting to come up a few times here. And then the hourly is also going to be freshly crossing up above about $42,000. So, you know, very short term, likely to try a little bit more on this bounce, you know, probably somewhere right around about 42.4 actually. And then we'll see if Bitcoin reclaims any one of those critical regions. And from there, I probably would be looking for continuation up to the next blue box. The blue box of peace and prosperity right here, of which I'll just show it one more time. It's basically between about 44 and 45,000 bucks. You know, these ranges are tightening obviously here. Again, we were kind of musing at the beginning of the stream that these, you know, this time especially is quite reminiscent of the slower times that we've seen, not really in the past year actually, but I would say more or less what we saw back here on the March 2019 reversal to the upside, and back here in the September, October, November major downside move as well. So I do think that we are looking at something similar to that. Both of those were obviously like 50% moves right off the bat as well. I think that we're going to see the same scenario over here, to be quite honest with you. Anyways, hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for Bitcoin, sirs and zers. Lovely, man. Fucking lovely. Okay, cool. Wow, there's actually more comments here than I would have expected today. Sure, we can get to that. We do have like one thing to get to later today, so I don't know if this stream's going to be like super long or anything, but just in case if it does start to get a little bit longer, I should let you know that we do have we have to go view our new house actually later today, which I'm quite excited about. Whoop whoop indeed. So you know, probably not going to be like a super long live stream, but I'll get to all the. It looks like this is pretty manageable right here, so no problem. Let's see. Okay, one more sippy sip, and then we'll get right into it. Okay, there we go. Hey, what's up, John Clay? Love the new 3-week live streams. Yeah, man. I think that that's just a better way to kind of handle things when they're a little bit slower. Obviously, people, you know, get tired of it, and for me, you know, I feel like my time is better spent creating new content for my own programs, anyways, and also with like, I mean, there's not really too much to do with my own trading. There was one trade yesterday, like one fucking trade, and that was the first trade that I've had in like a week, and I probably won't get another one for a little bit as well. But yeah, man. Anyways. Can you look at CRO USD daily and weekly? Yes. This is crypto.derp, and this one was one of the big movers in October, November, I remember. Let's go over here to KuCoin. And actually looking decent right here, to be quite honest with you. I do think it's going to very likely push through. You know, this kind of bodes well for Bitcoin as well. I think that you're going to see a lot of altcoins like this. You do have a slew of higher lows right here, obviously. You're reapproaching what I would kind of consider your big bad area, if you will. That's going to be about 43 cents or so. Anyways, you are on the daily and weekly, so let me go reference maybe the 5-day and the weekly. Yeah, both looking to me like they're putting in some variations of lows. On the weekly right here, we have another drive of hidden bullish divergence starting to formulate itself. This is all coming on, you know, one of the lowest volatility reads that we've ever seen on this one on a weekly. So very likely looking at a big move. I think the 5 days may be better in this case, just because, you know, there's more iterations and it's still quite similar to a weekly anyways. And to give you an idea of what you're probably looking at coming up out of this space, it would be similar to this area right here. This was the beginning of your July 2021 major breakout, and then of course this one was just like absolutely you know, amazing. I don't know if I'd necessarily said that is the destiny right off the bat, but as always, it comes with an invalidation. This is essentially running off of the assumption that you're putting in a major, in this case, macro low, likely in this region. What would invalidate this? Short term, below 40 cents would be very obvious on a daily, and then full invalidation, thus validating like major downside in this case, would be below about 38.5 cents. So some tight margins right there, but I do favor the short-term upside continuation. We see daily Jewel is continuing to go. It's getting still not supported by DMI, which is not the best sign, but this is again coming on very low volatility rates. So these are typically the more powerful ones, and that is why I'd be looking at this potential reversal right here, namely with the 40 cent area as you know, as an invalidation for that. Until then, next area to be aware of would be about 43 cents. Above there, I'd look for this one to really put in some more hefty rallies, very likely back up towards, you know, 45, 46 cents. Probably doesn't sound like too much. But of course, one thing before the next, and obviously that's going to really start to confirm that as, a weekly low, which is going to have weekly targets, which means that that hidden bullish evidence would naturally be confirmed as well. So that'd have targets up towards north of 50 cents and more deep targets towards 58 cents, 60 cents if things get really, really crazy. But for right now, still want to see it prove itself, obviously. But hey, it's got it definitely does have the signature in there. Again, with 40 cents, I would even say 40.5 cents as an invalidation to the downside, kind of just playing that as potential reversal. So that would be your next higher low in this case. Cool. All right. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. BK says RUNE USD for our daily weekly. Yeah. This one I remember we looked at last week. It was quite good. And then we looked at it again on Monday and it was looking still good. See where we're at now. Yeah, I remember on Monday, I said that I was not too confident in the short term, probably a short-term pullback, but what I felt confident on was the weekly. Yeah, and I basically have the same thing to say here as well. I like the weekly, but short-term, does it look like it's going to pull back more here? I think last time we looked at it, I said somewhere around like low $8. It's gotten down to about 8.30 now. Is that low enough? When I look at the daily, I do think that this one could come down a lot further towards $7. Yeah, honestly, when I look at the daily, I actually do think that this one does eventually come down a little bit more before another try to the upside. 5-day, do we have anything new here? Because we just got a new 5-day the other day. Yeah, I actually do think that it will come down somewhere around there first before another try to the upside. What does a monthly look like coming to the end of this month? Yeah, this is obviously good right here. This is obviously good right here on the monthly. So again, the short-term timeframes, I don't feel super confident on. I know that you asked about a 4-hour and a daily. Even a daily, I'm not like super confident on. If I had to call it, I do think down first, somewhere around like $7.75, let's say, maybe $7, even if things really get crazy or around there. But ultimately, it's the weekly and the monthly that I have a strong opinion on, and I do think that this one does continue up towards $11 plus. I think this becomes a lot more apparent on perhaps a bi-weekly and a monthly charts that I don't typically use on altcoins, but they're just actually giving me a bit of an edge right here. Just want to see this one close by about $7.50 by end of month here. And then, yeah, I probably would be looking for April to try up somewhere around $11, maybe even $14 if things get really, really crazy. But I'd hold off on those deeper targets first, just because that would imply that the whole market's bullish. And I want to see that confirmed for Bitcoin first. So this would be one of the ones to be watching if Bitcoin does confirm above those critical levels that we spoke about earlier, because this one's probably gonna have a better response. Until then, I do think that's, probably does trade a bit more sideways here in the short term. If I had to call it with a little bit of downside as well, and I'll just be looking at higher lows either at 770-ish or perhaps a little bit lower than that at about 7 even-ish. So hopefully that was helpful, man. Cool. Reshab says, hello. What? Whoa. Okay. No need to yell, sir. What do you... Calm down, sir. Tyler Bonkoval. Tyler Bonko. Is that your name? Sorry, if that's your name, I don't mean to make fun of you, but I'm guessing that's a play on Tyler Winklevoss, and you're looking at XTZ USD for daily. My bastard. Yes, you bastard. How dare you talk about my Tezos? Who the fuck thought of that as like bastard is obviously, a pejorative, but who thought of, I don't know, is that like an Indian thing, where you just call people bastards if you don't like them? You bastard, how dare you? It's fucking potart tragedy over here. Anyways, again, I think that most things are probably setting up for a bit of at least a pity bounce at minimum, maybe even a reversal, but I do see some regular bullish evidence come off this low in the weekly. You're looking at a 4-hour on daily, so you don't give a fuck about that. Daily over here, you're right fucking there, man. You're right fucking there. Just want to see this one close above $3.50, and then I'd actually call this a major low and very likely targets up towards, maybe just shy of $4 or so. If you're on a lower term time frame, like a 4-hour, yeah, I honestly do think that's going to push on through here. But technically speaking, at least want to see a 4-hour deal to closure of about $3.50, and then I'll be looking for that next sort of daily move to kind of occur. Technically speaking, you got a bit of an Adamy bottom going on right here, so that would have a technical target on top of it. So let's just measure that out to see. If that lines up with anything else, yeah, that's kind of around my next $4 extension target if that validation is met. Until then, should also offer up an invalidation on the other side. That's very obviously going to be below about 3.30 cents. Be getting targets back down towards 3.20 and probably back down to base after that, after a bit of another bounce. But yeah, man, hopefully that was helpful, man. Okay, cool. Reshop says, Adam BTC on the daily and weekly. Hope the no caffeine is treating you well. Yeah, man, I'm actually starting to quite like it. It's a different feeling, definitely. But you know, when you walk out in the morning, like things smell different. There's like a new day smell, and it's good. It's fucking good. Elsa doesn't know about this because she's addicted to caffeine. She drinks one of those damn cans every day. Doesn't even like coffee, but drinks the fucking bullshit monsters. Disgusting. Anyways, it's a Bang. Okay, Bang Monster. Like, it's all the same thing, sir. Red Bull, whatever the fuck. Red Bull doesn't even taste good, man. Respect my drinks and stop whining. Where did you learn that one from? Adam BTC on the daily and weekly. Okay, let's go over here to the weekly. Definitely not among the stronger ones, man. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one actually come back down towards 600. What is it? 6,300 satoshis first. Now longer term, not that bad, I don't think, but I do think that this one actually does have another downside move here, probably back down towards 6,100 satoshis or so, and very likely another bounce there. I wouldn't be looking for any like major upside continuation as long as you're below about 7,600 or so. Above there, I look for this one to retest highs around 10,000 and probably make new highs from there. Other than that, you know, the daily's kind of throwing me for a loop. If anything, but basically it's kind of a long way of saying, look, I do think that you're closer to finding, you know, at least a temporary low right here somewhere in this region in the low 6,000s or so. And then from there, I look for the next kind of rally to, well, this one's actually kind of a tough one right here. The 5 days getting the best, to be honest with you. And yeah, it's just downside first, somewhere around about 62 to 6,400 satoshis or so. Very likely a bounce from there. If that bounce in the following weeks brings you back up about 7,600, I'd be looking for major continuation. I mean, this would be kind of a big move. Let's just see. Yeah, that's a almost 40% move to the upside. 40% coming up a lot. And of course, you know, just be another macro high or low as well. So, you know, maybe I just look for a continuation from there. I mean, that would just be the next kind of range target. The next trending target would be somewhere in like the 14,000s or so. Anyways, hopefully that was helpful, man. Let's see. Down. Would you like me to go down? Connor Hart says, hey man, thank you. Super helpful. Awesome. Is it possible to purchase your RSI divergence indicator and the Joule? Yeah, it's just in the app, man. If you go over here into the store, it's right, where is it? There's a store somewhere here. It's right here, man. Oh, you can't see it. Apologies on that. Oh, you can't even see it because I have my left side cut off. But yeah, it's on the Krown app right there, which you can find. Yeah, it does not come with the premium membership. The Joule Lite does come with the premium membership, which honestly is going to be good and is probably going to be good enough for most people. You know, I'd kind of think of like the Joule Lite compared to the Joule as like the 80-20 rule. It's like, yes, the Joule obviously is better, has more working parts that do provide higher efficacious signals, but for most people, you know, the Joule Lite's going to get you about 80% of the way anyways, and it's probably good enough. The RSI divergence indicator, yep, definitely there, just under caretaker's caretaker's RSI. That's what we call it there. Cool. Let's see. I see a few more over here. Fucking buy the dip. He's back with his JASMY. Hello, sir. Is it reversing or has it bottomed? I don't know. Are those the same thing? Or maybe this one's, well, let's look at the chart first. Maybe let's look at the chart. Is it reversing? Has it bottomed? I don't know if I'd call this a bottom just yet, but I do think that you have at least another try to the upside, somewhere around about 5 cents. Let's see, any target short and medium term. I don't know what those mean to you specifically, but short term, I do think that it's going to retest your 5-cent highs. If you start to close dailies above your 5-cent highs, or let me just double check here. Yeah, just above 5 cents. If you can close a daily just above 5 cents, I'd actually be calling, I can't call a reversal here still anytime soon, but I would be calling like major extension up to just shy of 7 cents, like 6.7 cents or so. So I'd be looking towards. Problem with this is that where's your last high on this chart? Your last high is like over here, if you even want to fucking call it that. It's just been mostly a straight shot to the downside. I cannot call a reversal as hopefully a somewhat reasonable person, as long as you're below like 9 cents. So just understand, like, the question that you're asking, if I'm going to give you a dry answer, no, it's not, because it's very far away. But do I think that you could try at least a short-term move to the upside here? Yeah. And then medium term, if you do clear above about, let's call it 5.35 cents, even on like a 6-hour or a 12-hour closure, I would be looking for things to rally up somewhere between like 7 and 8 cents, let's say. Somewhere around 7 cents, let's say. Yeah. Cool. Ricky Gould says, please do algo. Appreciate the work. Sure, man. Timeframes would be massively helpful, though, probably for both you and me. But fair enough. I can look at it and probably do the good old 4-hour and daily, which is what most people are interested in, I guess. You know, again, a weaker chart here, obviously, but I'm sure that you do have multiple types of bullish evidence come off the lows. You know, probably a bit of a short-term pullback maybe, but I do look at this one as likely to try again higher as long as you are above 78 cents. Weekly, same thing right here, man. It's like, it's been beat up enough to the downside. It's probably ready for a bounce over the next few weeks. I just don't think that you have the momentum to actually like crash below, what is it, like 69 cents just yet. That's where it obviously get bearish. But until then, I do think you're going to range a little bit on the weekly. Probably do try some upside from there. You know, could probably try up towards even, you know, north of $1 sometime in April, perhaps. If you're on the short-term timeframes, not really getting too much from this, to be honest with you. You know, probably at least another try towards 87.5 cents, and I'd be looking for higher lows at about 78 cents or so. Other than that, you know, it's basically a long way of saying I think that you're in for a pity bounce here. Weekly volatility is starting to curl down yet again, so contraction phase and momentum oscillators are, you know, spent here. So I'm looking for a corrective bounce basically in the following month or so, something like that. Oh, Mr. Hoax, can't say that one on the internet. GMT full hour, okay, GMT. Is this like an actual stock, or nope? It's probably this. It's probably this. For the love of God. Okay, very, very new chart here. Very fucking new chart. Okay, there's got to be some that has more. Maybe CoinEx, CoinDerp. Nope, just a chart that went straight to the upside. I do see, you know, anytime that I see this where it's like kind of 3 highs in succession of each other, while you do start to print some bearish divergence calls over here, I do look for that one to typically come down after that and perhaps try for a higher low. If you're on a short-term time frame though, I do think that you try one more time to the upside first, somewhere around 81, 82 cents. If you start to actually close above 82 cents, let's say, I'd be looking for a continuation of new all-time highs first. I don't know where I don't have any targets for that because this is way too fucking new to be looking at in my opinion. But if you reject anywhere below there, I would be looking for this one in the following, you know, maybe a week, let's say, to come down and trade closer towards like low 60 cents region. So until then, you know, one more try short-term upside. Let's see if it reclaims one of those regions. If it doesn't, then I'm basically treating that as like your last point and very likely coming down to the low 60s. Cool. All right. Let's see. Jason Bell says, thanks. Hey man, all good. Soundly I've been learning at my own pace. That's cool, man. That's actually really cool to hear because I don't think of myself as like a teacher or anything like that. I think that that's actually kind of like weird, if anything. I like to think of myself as just, you know, sharing what I'm looking at, sharing what I know, and sharing things. What the fuck? I'm just a professor. you know, because that's just more relatable to me, man. I'm not like a fucking professor or anything like that. So anything that you're learning, it's like you're doing your own thing. So that to me, that's a lot more sustainable because it's like I'm just doing my thing, which is sustainable for myself, and you're doing your own thing, which is sustainable for yourself. You know, you're not relying on me. That's good. That's really, really good. Waves USD on the 4-hour daily and weekly. Okay, let's see. All right. Okay, let's go to the daily first. Yeah, so this one, oh man, dude, one of my friends sent me a really interesting thing about waves that basically this one rallied before the whole Russia thing, and the owner of this, I think, is Russian, and I don't know, there was some like very bizarre things going on. Anyways, what stands out about this chart is that you're retesting your prior highs from October. So these were like parabolic highs that Bitcoin and the rest of the market was kind of putting in around that time. So let's kind of mark those off. You know, you're probably going to spike into this area a few more times in like the mid 30s, let's say. But I do think that you will play at a greater pullback before anything potentially sustained towards the upside. And that pullback after rejection in this region, very likely comes down somewhere between about 24 and 21 bucks or so. That's kind of where I'd be looking for. And if you start to see like, higher lows being printed in there, that's probably going to be, the next thing. That's going to be like the point of major opportunity. Until then, I'm just looking. Then again, I look at the monthly, man, and like, this is fucking good. Okay, where did I say pullbacks targets to? Hopefully like 26. Let me go back to here. Okay, where was it? Might have to move this up. Okay, I'm saying 24. Let's make sure that we got this right, because that does not pass the sniff test here. Okay, let's do this on closures. Let's do this where the top actually is. There we go. Okay, I'm going to adjust those pullback targets to between about 24 and a quarter and $28. So yeah, probably spikes the top side of this area here, maybe a few more times, and I'd be looking for a pullback from there. Very likely a higher low, but all higher term timeframes on this are quite bullish. Actually, the monthly is fucking phenomenal. Yeah, that's really, really good. Volatility is about to turn up here too. You just got another higher low. Monthly RSI is back in the bullish control zone. I'm dare I say I'm bullish. It's good. It's good. Just long term. So basically, shortish term, sideways and down. Longish term probably does try another upside move in like April or whatever the month is after that. Cool. What's up, Jack? Good morning to you, man. Ethereum, Bitcoin for our daily and, if possible, the weekly. Definitely possible, man. Let's check it out. All right, so where did this one head from when we last looked? Okay, when we last looked, I was starting to look at this as a potential major, maybe even macro low. Yeah, still have the same thing to say about that, but short term, very likely sideways here still. Let's see. Should we record one? Here we have Ethereum, Bitcoin, and we'll look at Ethereum at US dollar soon enough as well. And this chart is, I'd like to follow up on this chart from Monday, of which, yes, we do have a few drives of hidden bullish evidence come off this current low right here within the context of a very, very low volatility environment. And I generally am looking for this one to trade higher, probably in April. I'm not necessarily convinced that we see this move in this month of March. So my voice starts to crack, and I'd essentially just be looking for a bit of a range here, a bit of sideways, maybe another try to the downside somewhere around about 8.5 million Satoshis or so. That's fine, but I have no reason to invalidate this as a potential major low as long as you're above about 6.8 million Satoshis. So again, that can allow for a little bit of downside, obviously. Until then, I'm essentially looking for a bit of sideways, and then probably around end of month or early to mid April is where I'd be looking for this one to try for a move. Where would I essentially validate this one as having a major move to the upside, playing out those hidden bullish divergence targets, which we'll get to in a second? Well, in this case, very, very simply put, it can be right here, right around about 7.2 million Satoshis on a higher term time frame closure. So at minimum a daily. If that condition is met, I look at this as a major low, thus confirming those drives, thus playing out the moves from those hidden bullish divergence drives, of which you already got the first one right there. That's the easy one off the 21. But the second one is actually significantly higher, somewhere between about 7.6 to 7.7 million Satoshis. Again, upon validation right here. Should always talk about the downside, if it gets validated. For the short term, below about 6.8 million Satoshis, I would look for another retest somewhere down to 6.6. That is not a full breakdown validation, however. The full breakdown validation is the same as before, below about 6.45 million Satoshis right there. So let's go look at the Ethereum dollar pairing over here. Very, very similar chart. It's actually quite literally the same chart, especially in the more immediate term. On the weekly, drive of regular bullish evidence come off the lows. 5-day, same thing as well. So that is good. Again, both in the context of very low volatility environments. 5-day jewel starting to tick up. I do want to see DMI support that, but that is pretty decent right there. And weekly, more of a corrective signal, but fair enough. We won't focus on that right now. We'll only talk about nice stuff. So what would confirm this is like a major low in this case? Very easily right here on a weekly or a 5-day above 3,100. That would be good enough for me. Be getting targets up towards 3,350 first, and then deeper targets towards 3,800. On a daily, I'd probably still wait for about 3,200 or Bitcoin above about 44,500. At that point, I look for first target to be initiated towards about 34 to 3,450, and then about 3,800 for the second target or so. Until then, again, a bit of sideways right here, probably the name of the game. On the short-term timeframes, you know, well, if you're playing trend, you're probably looking at this as your next higher low. I only have invalidations below about 28.50 on the short-term timeframes, and actually the same thing for the daily as well. So this is actually a rare example where the short and the higher term timeframes kind of line up with each other. Very obvious invalidations below about 28.50 in this case. If that does happen, I do look for moves back down towards your 2600 base. But for right now, you know, just like Bitcoin, I kind of do favor sideways and up from here. Still want to see it actually clear above those regions, which you know, kind of initiates those next areas of interest. Maybe we just briefly check it out here from this angle, just to see. Daily stochastic momentum is actually going to be turning down with any sort of a closure today below 3,000. So that is a bit of an area to be aware of, I suppose. Weekly is freshly turning up above 25.65. Okay, so looking good there. 5-day also fresh up and out of the bearish control zone for the first time since December of last year, actually. And will remain with upside momentum of 25.61. So I do kind of favor a bit of sideways and another try to the upside. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Ethereum. Nice. Cool. All right. We got Mr. Echoes the End next. Is that nope? We got Feeder. Feetar? Oh God. Do you know Faraz? He also likes the feet. You should meet him, man. Near USD. Okay. On the daily. Got it. We haven't looked at this one in it's got to be like 2 months. Huh? Who did you do before this? Jack. Yeah, you know, a lot of these charts looking very, very similar here. I do think that this one tries on a daily back up somewhere around about $11.80 to $12 or so. I still refrain from like calling this, you know, a major reversal in this case, as long as you're below about 12.60. But short term, I do kind of look for that one to continue here. Weekly looks a lot more like you're putting in a major low. But yeah, actually, several things going on right here. A couple drops of hidden bullish evidence yet again. So I want to see a test somewhere around there, but I need to see a closure above there in order to confirm this is a major low with targets up towards, you know, $15, $16 plus. For now, I look for this one to try up again towards about 1160 to 1180 or so, and then come back to it after that. I would invalidate any sort of short-term bullishness or any sort of a bullish setup at all if this one does come back down below about 1060 that, or sorry, let me just double check. Yeah, about 1060 on a daily closure. If that does happen, I'm looking for this one to come back down towards your February lows. And completely unravel. But for now, again, a lot of things in this market looking like they're going to have a little bit of sideways and give at least one more try to the upside. And let's see if they, you know, reclaim any one of these specific regions. Cool. All right. I think we have, okay, might need to close them chats though. Okay. Scott Whitaker. I think, okay, yes, I believe it's Scott Whitaker. Love you, bro. Love you too, sir. About 2 lives ago, you gave a guy advice on his impulsive trading behavior. It literally was a key to breaking a lifelong addiction I battled. Thank you, man. Man, that is really fucking cool to hear. That is really fucking cool to hear. You know, should I record a video on this or not? Maybe this can be helpful because no one really asks about these questions anymore. But you know what? Maybe we can get into this because I'm feeling it right now, man. I'm fucking feeling it. There's things to be said. There we go. Okay, I just wanted to reference a comment here that Mr. Scott Whitaker has made on this live stream. He says, about 2 lives ago, you gave a guy advice on his impulsive trading behavior. It literally was key to breaking a lifelong addiction I've battled. Thank you, man. And that is that's really, really amazing and cool for me to hear. But understand that, you know, you did that yourself. I just kind of put words on that. And maybe you had like the reference experience to relate to that, and then you can employ it. But basically, and anyone can do this, obviously anyone can do this, but basically, you know, it is a real issue with trading addiction, you know, gambling addiction. Basically, you feel like you always need to be in a position, you feel like you always need to, you know, have something going on, because if you don't, then you're missing out on an opportunity. And if you're missing out on an opportunity, then there's not going to be a way to get it again. And that really conflicts with what it is to be a, you know, a professional trader or a professional gambler for that matter, or a professional handicapper for that matter as well. Because you have to understand that, you know, to think like that implies that you do not trust you have a skill or ability to replicate what a good trade is. And a good trade does not necessarily mean that you always make money from it. No, a good trade in the way that you can define it is simply following your self-defined setup, like the setup that you're looking for, that you have obviously tested, back tested, you know it, you know the statistics behind it, and you're playing alongside of that. And if you do that, and if you take those setups, though, that's good trading. And naturally, I mean, you're probably only going to take those, or you're only going to employ those strategies if they have an edge for you over time. Like, obviously, if that isn't in place already, then that is the issue. But from there, it's simply just a matter of recognizing that your addiction to trading is only getting into the way of those statistics. And if you do that, you can't reasonably expect that those are going to work out for you. So coming back into that mindset is something that I always like to remind myself of, because, hey man, even after doing this for 10 years, I still get, I'm a human, man, as is everyone else. We all get these feelings, right? And it's simply just a process of reminding ourselves, or the market will, very nastily do it for us, these sort of truths of the market. And if you can do that and just maintain that over time, that's all that it is. That's all that it is to, do trading as a living, essentially. It really is a deductive process in that way, but we, as always, get in our own ways with, getting addicted to basically the excitement of being in a position is what it comes down to. That excitement that you feel, and then that feeling that, if you miss this one, it's like, oh shit, I missed the boat, man. I missed the goddamn boat, and I'm gonna be poor for forever. It's like, no, dude, if you identified a good setup and there actually was a good setup there, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to do it again. I mean, you haven't lost the skill. That is the actual skill that you can cultivate that will put you in a position to be able to do that over time consistently. And that's all that it comes down to, man. So I'm really, really happy to hear that, but for your own sake, man, and understand that you did that, and as long as you keep on taking responsibility for being in that mindset, whatever that might mean to you, then you can expect the same result, which is great, which is fucking amazing. So hopefully that was helpful, man, and happy for you, dude. Nice, fucking nice, man. All right, stop looking in the cam. I'm too high. It's freaking me out. Sir, it's 9 a.m. Okay, we did Ricky Gould. We got Algo. I think Echoes the End is next. Says Tesla, 4-hour and daily. Started Tai Chi in pandemic to stay active, focused, but my instructor drinks Elon Kool-Aid and keeps showing Tesla. Oh God, man. It's like, is he also like a vegan too, or into CrossFit or something? Have you heard the good word of Elon Musk? Hey man, I mean, it's fucking good right here, to be fair. I believe that we were looking for a reversal coming into this week off of last week's, bullish engulfing dildo right there. I'd say the same thing again, and I think that we've almost hit our $1,000 target. In fact, it's about 1,025 to 1,030. So looking somewhere around there. I know that you didn't ask about a weekly, but I remember you asked about this like earlier this week. Short term, is it likely to pull back first? Probably a little bit of a short-term pullback, maybe down to like 970, 980 or so, but I don't know if that's relevant to you, man. I'm looking for this one to continue around end of month. Again, looking at the monthly right here, like this is, you got a bullish engulfing, or do you have a bullish engulfing? Sorry, you do not have a bullish engulfing monthly dildo, but you do have hidden bullish evidence being formulated. So any sort of a closure basically above 950, and I'd actually be looking for this one to retest 1100 to 1150, maybe even in April. Be pretty damn good. I'd only invalidate bullishness on this one if you came back down below about 910 or so. Cool. All right, let's see, let's scroll back here. Okay, we got Reshop, we got, okay, nope, we don't got anything else. Bakuri says, Krown, how do I pick up overseas girls like you do? Tinder and backpage.com. Shekhar, Mr. M says, morning, sir, OGN USD 4-hour daily and 1 hour 4-hour daily. Gotcha. Thank you for looking at this piece of highly esteemed technology, as always, man. Yeah, I do probably look for a pullback back down to like 61.5 cents from here. This one had a pretty good move, to be fair. Pretty damn good move right there. Yeah, I'm looking for short-term down, somewhere around low 60 cents or so. Same thing on the hourly as well. Probably bounce there, but yeah, probably bounce there, and then I would not call a reversal on that bounce. I would not call a reversal on this one. Like to begin with, I need to see a closure above about, what is this, 82 cents, Yeah, about 80 cents. I mean, you got really fucking close there, but getting a rejection right there is like still not the best sign. So looking for a short-term down, probably bounce there, and then, you know, if that bounce reclaims like 82 cents, then that's great, and I'd be looking for major moves up towards a buck. But until then, I don't know, man. These charts always I mean, this would just be a phenomenal place for a macro lower high. Let's see. I'm curious if it aligns with anything that actually matters in this case. Let's go here from the breakdown. Yep, we're right at the 618. Okay, so where would I confirm this as a macro lower high? Below 58 cents on a daily closure. Yeah, I'd be looking for this one to come down hard after that. Until then, I guess the hopium kind of remains alive, but I really don't trust this, man. Yeah, I really don't trust this. Then again, if everything else in this market goes up, this one's going to go alongside with it, so... Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Maybe I'm peddling a little bit too much doom. Crypto King says 1 hour TA for UPI. Okay. UPI. Yeah, I did reshop. Yeah. On derp base. On the hour. Oh dear Lord, this one's been around for a very minimum amount of time. And it's one of these. It's one of fucking these, right? I am looking for this one to try another short-term downside move, probably somewhere down around about 66, 67 cents for the hourly. I'd be looking for bounces somewhere around about 65 if it gets there, somewhere around 65. But for right now, I think you got a short-term downside try. Let's see what the 4 hour looks like. Yeah, we're actually seeing a pretty big bifurcation in a lot of the crypto assets that we've seen today. Kind of interesting. What about a daily? Yeah, I'm not getting much from any of the other time frames, man. If I'm just looking at the short-term time frames, I do think that you try another short-term downside move. But really, honestly, I really don't think that I have a great opinion on this highly esteemed piece of technology. I don't think I have a really good idea on this one. But if I did call it, I do think short-term down. Anyways, sorry, I know that that's not that helpful, but I don't have a good opinion on this one. I don't think. Kookie says AVAX 1 and 4. Okay, AVAX, huh? The old Avalanche. No one asks about Avalanche no more. Why no Avalanche? Why no love for Avalanche? Just want to see where this one is. Interesting, actually. Quite interesting here. Should record a video on it. Yeah, here we have Avalanche symbol AVAX versus the dollar. This one's actually quite interesting at this current area, or maybe a little bit lower than that. But ultimately, I do look at this as potential reversal in progress here, as long as you are above about 81.5 bucks. So that's kind of my line in the sand. That would be the invalidation for this as a potential reversal setup. Until then, I should talk about what happens if invalidation does get hit below 81.5. I would be looking for another move back down, basically towards 74.5 to 75 bucks. So in the short-term timeframes, as we're requested, do we see anything obvious right here? 4 hour, just sideways. Hourly, same thing with a little bit of short-term downside. So it probably comes back down and retests around 84 to 83.5 to 84 bucks, I'd say. But ultimately, that's not anything super concerning for this asset just yet. Where would I validate in this case, a major reversal, actually? Kind of the same thing as before. I still want to see at minimum a daily closure above $90 with targets up short-term towards about 98. And then above there, upon validation, I would actually be looking at this as a macro reversal with, it's going to have a technical target based off of this as an ascending triangle reaccumulation, which will be something like this. Targets back up towards, 115 to 125 region if that were to be met. But for right now, easier to just look at the short-term timeframes. Yeah, the weekly kind of showing the same thing as well. So short-term, very, very short-term, looking for another grind out of these lows right here. Just don't want to see a daily closure below 81.5. As long as that doesn't happen, I'll look for a bounce from there, and then hopefully for the Bulaw's sakes reclaims those regions within the next week or so, and then I'd be looking at those next set of targets. Hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for AVAX, sir. Actually, I do want to see what it looks like over here, just out of curiosity. See if there's any obvious signals on the higher term time frame. Yeah, daily is actually pointed down below 90 bucks. Okay, that's not great. Weekly vertical above 70, and 5-day vertical above 70, and weekly also above 71. So not bad. Short term time frames are still downside angle below about 88.5. And hourly, let's see what we got right here. Also vertical but weak, and probably, yeah, I do think that this one I think that this one does come down and test around those short-term lows first. Cactus says track on the 4-hour and daily. Okay, it's a new one. I think that we looked at the origin trail. All right. Okay. 4-hour and daily. Got it. Pretty bad long term, but not bad in the short term, obviously, after a move like that. So, well, let's go down to a 4-hour first. I do think that you're going to spike this area a few more times, but I do think that you will play out a pullback towards 63, 64 cents after that. Where do things actually change around, though? Not anytime particularly soon, in fact. Above 87.5 cents on a daily closure is where I start to look at this one as, okay, you have a reversal very likely on your hands, and you're very likely going to see price action back up well north of $1. We're talking like 115 to 120 or so. If that condition is met, until then, short term, I think that you give a few more tries back around the highs of this rally, maybe even slightly higher as well. But I'd be looking for a pullback after that, somewhere around, I think earlier I said like low 60 cent. I'd make that more around like, well, yeah, about 63 to 65 cents or so is kind of where I'd be looking towards. Might even pull back sooner rather than later after one more spike into that deeper 80 territory, because you are seeing some slight bearish divergence right here with extremes on 4-hour BBWP. So I'm kind of inclined to say that as well. Yeah, I don't think that you're going to have like major continuation to the upside before a pullback first, basically. Just maybe another few tries around there. Ryan Bolden says, loving the TA program. Nice. I refer to you as sensei. No, man, you should refer to me as a colleague, sir. I'm just, we're all the same. We're all the same. EGLD, daily and 4-hour. Gotcha. Okay. EGLD. Elsa just ran off to the bathroom. What is she doing over there? EGLD, good. Good on the short-term time frames. Very likely going to spike around these highs yet again. What is this, like low 190s daily? But does it have the juice to break? I don't know. I do think that you're going to play at least one more short-term time frame pullback before having like a legitimate chance to try to bust. But until then, actually, short-term, very likely retest around those highs, 193, maybe even 195. But I would play this one by the book, because it has been kind of a perennial loser for a while now. And until it actually closes on a 4-hour dildo time frame, specifically above 195.5, I would not look for any more short-term continuation, meaning targets up to 205 are not relevant. And more likely to pull back after that as well, probably somewhere down around about 180 to 175 region. Daily is actually okay here. It's actually pretty good. And the weekly, same thing as well. In fact, I'm really inclined to say that this one likely does push through in the following weeks. How would I judge this on a daily? On a daily, probably the same area actually, about 196.5 on a daily closure. On a weekly, a little bit. The weekly is a lot easier in this case actually. 194. Any sort of a closure above there confirms this is the next major macro high or low, with targets up, like big targets up at that point to 240 first, and then second would be like 275 to 300. It'd look really, really good at that point. Let's see what the monthly looks like coming to the end of the month here. And not really getting us too much, but so far so good. Maybe we have something resembling, technically speaking, you'd have a drive of hidden bullish evidence here if it does kind of close above, especially about $200 by end of month. So it's gonna be tight margins on this one, but basically a long way of saying short term, probably tries one more move around those highs, pull back after that, pull back for the Bula's sakes, hopefully sets in a higher low and then gets those weekly closures above those critical regions, or the daily as well. If one of those two things happens, I would actually have major targets to the upside after that. To be fair, like the weekly is a setup for higher. And there's no real reason to invalidate it, especially as long as you're above 170. I honestly think that's just like the easier chart here. The other time frames I'm not having as easy of a time with, which is usually a sign that I should go with the easier one. I know that you didn't ask about it, but this is just the more obvious one right here. Hey, what's up, Solverin? Not sure how technical one can be with this chart, but I took a stint at 455 for this one. PO Planet Labs. Okay, daily, 2-day, and percolate. All right, Planet Labs. On NICE. Okay, and you just love these charts that fall off the face of the earth and then trying to buy the blood, I guess. I guess it's a form of a strategy. Daily, I actually think that this one's put in a bit of a reversal here and probably trades up to like 580. 2-day, same thing. You know, these are not like amazing charts, but I do think that they're ready for a bit of a pity bounce. You know, many drives of bullish evidence come off the lows. You're also looking at a 3-day. You can look at that. Yeah, same thing right here. Probably tries up somewhere around like 580 to maybe even $6. Other than that, I wouldn't really have a too strong of an opinion on it, just because, well, you know what I'm gonna say about a chart that does something like this, man. Here's a real chart as well. Well, it ain't too much different than that, but still not my favorite chart long term. But I do think that you're in for a bit of a bounce there. Let's see. Sambo Banjo, morning from Manchester, UK. Nice, man. Sand and Gala both appear to be approaching the 4-hour golden cross. Can you please check medium timescales? Just one, but I'm sure that they look the exact same anyways as to most of these fucking things. 4 hours. So there's a golden cross in the 4 hour, you say. I don't even have my golden cross moving averages on there. I use exponentials for this. And they're not really that close, no. You're probably talking about simples then, which we could do, but I'm not a humongous fan of. Yeah, and it's like just happening right there. I mean, you know, is there a golden cross in the 4 hour if you're using 50 simple and 200 simple? Yeah, there is, and you got a base at $3, so there's a natural invalidation below about $3 or so. You know, if you're gonna play something like that, it can be okay. It's not for me, but it can be okay. And you know, I kind of generally agree with this. I do think it gets another try higher here, but will be invalidated below about $3. So, kind of at the basically at the point of you know of maximum opportunity for a cross like that as well. Because it's like you don't have to wait too long if the trade's not gonna work out and play that cross, and at the same time you get to play like literally right on the edge. So. Quite good as far as the setup goes, but I'm not a big fan of that particular one myself. Just personally speaking, you know, maybe relevant to you or not. Damo says AVAX USD. Yep, we got that one, so all good there. I do want to see it on a higher time frame though, because I feel like maybe there's something that I was missing. 5-day ain't bad. Weekly ain't bad. Bi-weekly, not bad as well. Generally do think that this one does try at least one more higher, and then we'll kind of see. Cool. Let's see. Echo Zien says ICTI. Okay, ICTI. What is this? Not on TradingView. Yeah, not on TradingView. Intercellular therapy. Let me just try it. There we go. You're okay. I don't know why this is. Maybe it was like it was an L instead of an I. Anyways, daily and 4 hour looking good on the monthly. Looking good on the daily as well, but do we continue from here? What about a 4 hour? Yeah, I do think that you continue from here based off the 4 hour. Back around your highs from 18th of March. If you're on a daily, do we have any history for this one that correlates to these regions? Perhaps yes. Oh wow, you're actually already on new all-time highs. But are these the new all-time highs that you're looking for? Hold up. I actually do think that you probably try one more high around your current high. I want to see this one have another closure above like basically where last week closed, like anywhere above about $60 or so would look good for me for continuation into April. The monthly is the easier chart here, kind of like the other ones. The obvious things about the monthly is that look, you're expanding off of the lowest levels of volatility that you've ever seen. You're basically on new all-time highs, and your monthly RSI is in the bullish control zone. That tells me look higher into April. The other time frames that you're asking about, I'm not as strong on, to be honest with you. You know, the 4 hours says probably do continue from here. The daily, I don't have an opinion on the daily. I could just as easily as look for a pullback down to $55 first, as a bulldoze through here. But I'm looking at the higher term time frame on this one, and I do think that it does try higher into into April. No real targets in mind, because this is just that's going to be like a macro breakout. I guess we could do something. Let's see. I guess first target would be about just under $66, and then like longer term, you know, months down the road, assuming you get continuation somewhere between about 90 and 100, which would be quite good. Quadruple U's. Are you sure it isn't 3 U's? Okay, I know 3 U's, but I don't know 4 U's. All right. Energy field trades on ARC. What the fuck? Never heard of it. Okay, you're on a daily and weekly. Up, bullish, and also bullish. Probably looking for a move towards $11 or so. Yeah, both daily and weekly. I'm looking for continuation from here. Looking pretty damn good. Only invalidated below about 9.25. Cool. Murray Kerr says, "Morning derpers. What's up, sir? Waves on the 4-hour and daily." Yep, we got that one. I'm almost sure of it. Let me just double check over here. Yeah, I remember we got this one. Higher term time frames looking pretty damn good. But I think if you just scroll back a little bit earlier, or if you wait for the timestamps to come out, there'll be a little bit more of an in-depth. But I'm basically looking for. There's probably going to be a few more spikes in this blue box territory here, somewhere around this week's high, maybe even a little bit higher. But I am looking for a pullback after that, somewhere between about 24.25 to 28. And then after that, probably in like April, I'd guess, is where I'd be looking for continuation to new highs, or maybe not new highs, but like retesting your wick highs. Let's see. Juven Official says, "Congrats on a new crib." Thanks, man. Still waiting for it. It's still like a half year away, but we're gonna visit it while it's still being made. So all good. And hey, thanks, man. Just a nice positive message. Appreciate that, dude. Really appreciate that. Jesus Canto is back. He says, "Can you do EGLD?" We've already done that, but oh man. It's like you already knew. RBN USD. Okay, so is this ribbon? Dude, I use these guys as platform to do options trades. I've never used their token though. I'm looking up from here. I'm looking somewhere around like 178, 180ish region. Long term, hard to get like bullish or looking for a reversal on something like this, as long as you're below like 229, 230ish region. But for right now, I do think that you have another try to the upside. If you're on a 4-hour, same thing. I'm generally looking for another continuation on this drive, maybe somewhere around probably around 175, maybe 180 or so. Another drive of hidden bullish evidence developing over here on the 4-hour RSI. Volatility is very, very high, so I don't think that this current move has too much more in it, but probably at least one more chart to the upside. Not bad. All right, cool. I think that's a really good place to leave this one off. My voice is just hanging in there right now, but all good. Hey, Crypto King, we literally just ended, but I guess we'll just look at Bcash, man. Bcash. Fucking Bcash. What on the hourly? Bit of a short-term range here. I'd be looking for this one to actually try another short-term move towards like 360 or so. Daily. I don't have any real opinion on this chart. I mean, you've already got the pity bounce targets on the weekly. If this thing's going to trade higher, it's going to be like 470 to 480 or so. If it gets there, and the whole market's going to have like a major move up. But if you're just on the hourly, I'm seeing extremes here. I'm seeing a bit of a range going on. So I'm looking for the range to evolve a little bit, basically between about 371, 372 to the upside versus 360 to the downside. That's all I have to say about that, man. I don't really have anything too useful to say here, I don't think. But short term, if you're like very, very short term, I'm looking for it to test back down to like 360 first. All right, cool. Sweet, man. Damn. All right, another stream with no caffeine. Don't know how the fuck that happened, but hey, it's all right. It's actually working okay. Just want to say thank you to everyone joining on in, especially during these more slow times. It's actually really, really cool for me to continue to do these things through the slow times, just because like the people who are staying through these times, they're like actually usually the people who are the most just the most interesting to kind of be around, because you obviously have your own convictions about this market and about what you might be learning or what you might be interested in, and that's always it's always cool to be around. Disregard Sol, get Prada. Oh, you. Actually, I haven't looked at Solana in a long time, man, and I'm actually quite curious because I'm looking probably for another try up here somewhere around $95, and if you start to see daily closures above 95.5, I look for that to extend towards 100. Probably 100 or more over time. Anyways, yeah, man, that's pretty much it for today. Thanks for joining in. Thank you to our moderator crew as always. Much love to everyone out there. We'll be coming back on tomorrow with another regular video, and then Friday for another live stream. Hey, what's up Yasek? Good morning to you, man. And all right, beautiful everyone. Take care and see you soon.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, XR, pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it, hype